Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Grugs here, Legion Tactical Cutlery. Welcome back once again, troops, legionnaires, and any new recruits to another Legion premiere. And today I have the GTKii GTK30 Kukri recurve. I'm not sure yet how I should call this. The description says dog leg shaped, so that's interesting. Never heard that before, but to me, my personal opinion is this looks like a harpoon recurve more than it does a kukri, but you know, to each their own, man. In any case, let me know what you think in the chats and the comment section, but you know, I'm always getting ahead of myself. What is everybody carrying today? I've got my godson here from Pertec. What are you all carrying? Now, excuse me, let me go over the specs of this brutal beast, and then I'll show you the knife here. Once again, this is the GTKii GTK30 in AUS-10 steel. Overall length is 15 inches. Blade length, 9 inches. Blade steel, as I mentioned, is AUS-10 with a hardness of 58 to 61 HRC. Blade thickness, 6 millimeters. Blade width, 2.3 inch. Handle length, 6 inch. Handle thickness, 0.87 inch. Handle material is a black nylon fiberglass. They do come in green. Weight, 22.2 ounce, so it's hefty. And with the sheath is 28.5 ounce, and it features full Tang lanyard, Kydex sheath, and a nylon belt loop. Fantastic. Got the specs out of the way. We are cruising right along. Got some material to do a little testing. Got some paper for those who enjoy the paper tests. But can't wait to, you know, chop a log with this, show everybody the capabilities of this knife. Now, I spoke with the GTKii rep about this knife. He says hammer away on this. He says use it hard. Fine by me. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's take a nice look at this. So what do you think, guys? Recurve or kukri? I'm saying more of a recurve, harpoon type recurve. But you know, for those out there who want to call it a kukri, it may very well be a kukri. I could be wrong. For those who want to call it a kukri, be my guest. Okay, so pretty interesting blade shape. Personally, I think I would have rather had this filled in instead of having this skinny neck right here for the rear of the blade. If this was just completely one solid piece, man, you know, and then there was a little thumb ramp over here, man, oh man, I think that would have been even better. But as you could see, this is a slightly hollow grind. I don't know if you could see that in the light. Hopefully you can. It's not flat. It's slightly hollow grind, which is okay because I have a lot of respect for hollow grind. But the blade shape is cool. Now, I know some of you aren't going to like the camo design on here, but you know, if you were to purchase this, take it outside and use it like a tool, you know, I doubt very many of you would care about this design. But then again, you know, there's some of you out there who appreciate the aesthetics, and you know, if this is not something for you, you know, unfortunately they don't make a satin version. It's, you know, this knife is not for you. But for those who are looking for a tool, a great budget tool, inexpensive, I think this might work out. So decent swedge over here for penetration. It does go midway, the hollow grind. Then this is all flat right over here. Okay. Very, very small logos, GTKI on one side and AUS-10 on the other. Very sharp. Full Tang goodness, 6 millimeters thick, okay? And here's the handles now. It does have these red G10 line, not G10, but well, they could be G10, you know, it didn't say in the specifications, or maybe it is nylon fiberglass red liners, but in any case, it's red liners, and it is pretty nice on the knife. And then you can see the handle texturing. There's no scalloping, but there's nice texturing over here. Removable scales. You could see a little bit of the texturing and the jimping here in the rear and the front. All integrated between the nylon fiberglass handles, liners, and then the steel itself. Bit of a protruding tang, which is nice. It's got 3 lanyard holes, so you could pick which one you want, I guess. Too bad they don't have one here in the front. Doesn't matter though, it should still work just fine. Removable scales. Nice contouring of the handle. Not as flush, but let me see. It just protrudes just maybe a millimeter or so. I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially for the price. It should be okay. Very nice. Now let me hold it for everybody. So in the normal holding position for chopping, you know, feels great. You know, with my thumb extended here, it feels good. It feels like this is going to hold the hand very well, but I know that once I start getting out there with that movement and momentum, you know, my hand is going to want to go backwards. So I'm always going to put on some kind of a lanyard here. But you got a couple of different ways you could hold this knife. All right, there's that generous sharpening choil that can act as a finger choil for that close-up work. So that's cool. Guard. I mean, yeah, it's a pretty nice budget blade, you know? So I can't wait to, let me just try a couple of different ways of holding this. I'm gonna reverse it for everybody. I think this might be big enough for people with big hands. Okay, let me just, yeah, you could fit about 6 fingers here. Now I know I have a subscriber who apparently has some gargantuan hands, and as much as he likes some of these knives, he says that the handle is a little bit too small. Hopefully, this might be better, a better option. Okay, there's no bird's beakish area over here, but it does flare out. So hopefully, when I'm chopping, this will help with, you know, keeping my hand in place and won't give me a hot spot like some of the other knives I noticed. So hopefully, once I get to testing, I'm going to try it with and without gloves, see how it works out. Now, I think my blisters are all healed except for this one. So we'll see how it, you know, how it does with my hand. But I like the handle. It feels good. It's got a nice front heavy weight to it. And it's a chopper, man. It is absolutely a chopper. Could be a good camp knife. Definitely could cut up some, you know, vegetables and some meats at the campsite. Then, you know, cut up some wood for the fire, etc. You might not need a axe with this. Maybe take a saw and some other, you know, pocket knife of some sort, something smaller to add as a supplement to this big, huge blade. Because sometimes, you know, a big, huge blade is a little tough to do a little bit finer work. But pretty nice, man. Pretty nice. And once again, I just want to thank GTKii and the reps for sending me this awesome knife for testing. Thank you as always. Let's take a look at the sheath. Again, for the price, it's not bad. They're saying that this is Kydex Sheath, at least that's what they say in the description. Okay, some people have said they think it's nylon fiberglass. However, the description says Kydex, so yeah, I'm going to go with that. A little bit thinner than some of the other Kydex that I'm used to. However, it is adequate. It's pretty solid. It's pretty sturdy. It's got a lot of drainage holes. Okay. It has this little ramp over here. So not bad at all. Now it is not ambidextrous. You cannot remove this and flip it over. On the plus side, though, it does have a nylon belt loop, which is great, okay? And it looks like it can come off, and then you could use this on maybe some other knives. You never know, you know what I mean? but very nice. It has some rivet holes. I kind of wish it had the slots. I always wish that. I guess if you're going to grab it to pull out the knife, you know, I know this is probably not the best way to do it, but I'm sure this little cutout is for the hand over here to pull out the knife. But a lot of people will say, you know, pull it out this way instead so that the blade is pointing away from you. But the whole purpose of the sheath, right, is to protect you from getting cut. And it doesn't look like these rivets are going to come out anytime soon. Very, very nice. Let me pop the knife in for everybody. Now, it does rattle in here. Again, I think this is a pretty generic, I think they use this sheath with a couple of different knives in this series, but it is loose in there. And that's why you have the snaps. See, yeah, it does come out. Okay, so the retention is not the best, so the snap is a must. So be aware of that. And I'm not sure if a heat gun is going to take care of making this a little bit tighter. It might. You know, I haven't done it on my other knives yet, but just be aware. Now, again, this could be my knife, but this is the second knife that I got in this type of sheath that has been kind of loose, so no matter what, it is still an adequate sheath to protect you from getting cut. So here's the example of, you know, opening this up one way, using the thumb to push off the thumb ramp, and then you take out the knife. So you're using that cutout right here for the knife, or probably the smart way to do it is to grab it from here and then pull it out using the thumb. So just a small example of how to just take this knife out of the sheath. Let me just snap this back, take the knife out. All right, and before we show you any kind of cutting, let me show you the box that it comes in, okay? Again, another generic box, but for the price, who cares? It's a box to store the knife in, right? And there's a little logo over there, GTKii, made in China. The model, it's a camouflage box, a little sniper reticle on there. Is that a tank? Oh yeah, look at that, that's a tank. So yeah, so it's a decent box. It came, let me just open it real quick. And it came in bubble wrap and a plastic here for the knife. Okay, nothing else, nothing fancy, plain and simple. So do one of three things: throw it out, use it for storage after use, or use it for the collector, you know, after you take a look at it. All right, cool. Got the box shown and out of the way for everybody. Now, let's just test a little bit on the sharpness of this knife. It did come pretty sharp, at least to my fingers, it feels pretty sharp. So let's do this. So nice and sharp, okay? And I have a piece of wood that I grabbed from doing some testing. And let's see how that performs real quick. Do this without messing everything up over here. Nice thick piece of wood, and I'm going to just choke up a little bit, and you could see nice and sharp out of the box. By the way, this is a nice dry piece of wood, so that little curve over there is doing a fine job. AUS-10 is easy to sharpen up out in the field. I think this is going to be a good alternative, you know, to an axe or a saw, right? Again, you take this with you with a smaller fixed blade, pocket fixie or pocket folder, And I think you're good to go, man. You know, you don't really need a saw or an axe, depending on what you're gonna be doing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, very good. All right, troops. That's it, man. You know, stay tuned for some more Legion premieres that will be coming up. This one should be tested sometime this week, so stay tuned. Let me bring awareness, everybody. Hashtag 22 a day, hashtag 22 a day no more. There are veterans and active military. Once they get out of the service, they do face a lot of challenges. And unfortunately, one of these challenges is suicide. So at the end of this premiere, you know, go check out the comment section and description section. I'm going to have phone numbers that everybody can call and websites that everybody can surf. You know, reach out to somebody if you know somebody. Do the best that you can. Let them know that, you know, they're very important people and we still want them around. And, you know, there's a heartfelt message from one of your own, Martin Miller, Vietnam veteran, 66 to 69, U.S. Army. He has a heartfelt message. Please seek the help you all have earned and deserve. Troops, Legionnaires, new recruits, as always, thanks again. At the ready, troops, hold the line. Take care.